When you think of shields, a number of iconic forms come to mind. You might think of a medieval heater shield, or a Viking round shield, or perhaps a Roman scutum. You've definitely seen this, a Scottish targe, definitely one of the most recognizable types of shield. This particular reproduction here is made by Douglas Schaffer in Seattle. I'll talk more about that, but first a bit generally about this type. So this was used from the early 17th century to the Battle of Culloden in 1746, after which the targe was banned. This is a strapped shield, traditionally made of plywood, thin wooden boards layered with a grain at right angles to give it more strength, and those layers were fixed with wooden pegs. Then it was covered in hide and studded with silver or brass-headed nails. Along with basket-hilt broadswords, these were part of the Highland Charge, which we talked about in my video at the Canadian War Museum back in 2019. If you haven't seen that, link down below. The Highland Charge may seem like a chaotic rush, but was actually a well-organized, all-out tactic that was surprisingly effective at breaking and routing British musket regiments, at least for a time. It's essentially a high-risk, high-reward maneuver, which is very likely to yield a decisive victory, but may also fail catastrophically, depending on the enemy. What the Highland Warriors did was advance with their muskets to within about 50 meters of the enemy, fire a volley, then discard their muskets, and charge through the powder smoke with Targe and Broadsword. The shield was effective to defend against an enemy bayonet, and of course a sword up close is much more effective than a bayonet on a rifle. So essentially you just have to get past the bayonet and move in close, and then you have the advantage. From what I read, the Targe was intended as protection against musket fire, but not the way you think, because straight on, even at 50 or probably even 100 meters, I would expect a musket ball to go right through this. I've tested a Brown Bess on a breastplate, admittedly at unusually close range, between 15 and 25 meters, because in that area I was limited in how I could set things up. So the closer you are, of course, the more energy it transfers to the target. But either way, I would expect it to go straight through. But apparently the idea was to angle them and try to deflect musket balls. So in response to enemy musket fire, the front rank would kneel and angle the targe to try to either get a musket ball lodged in it, which of course, if it travels kind of along the shield to an extent, it's of course in contact with more material. So if it buries into the wood at an angle, then there's more to stop it, or there's also a chance that it might deflect. I've seen that against armor as well, and of course with all of these studs here, there's of course also an extra chance for that to happen. And of course the nails and metal domes here also reinforce against other weapons, be it bayonets or other swords. For example, if a sword starts to hack into this, there's a good chance it'll hit something metal on the way. So it's very unlikely to split it all the way down to the arm, which is a danger with a strapped shield. We'll talk more about that in the next video. You might wonder why this is relatively small compared to other types of shield. This is not a whole lot of cover, but the reason is simply weight mitigation, because they made these pretty stout. This is relatively thick compared to many other types of shield. If you compare to this Viking round shield that I made, this is quite a bit thinner, and this is actually lighter than the smaller Targe. This weighs about 2.5 kilograms. This is a bit over 3.1 on my scale, which is 6 pounds, 13 ounces. The diameter is 52 centimeters or 20.5 inches, which is similar to a Targe at the Met Museum, which has a diameter of 50 centimeters and weighs 2.87 kilograms or 6 pounds, 5 ounces. I'll get back to size and weight when talking about historical accuracy later. It has an interesting feature on the back right here. You can see there is a sheath holding a spike with a threaded end. In the front, this brass plug right here comes off. And in its place, you can put the spike. So now, You've got an extra offensive weapon here, and also something that helps catch an enemy weapon. So instead of hitting the flat of the targe and sliding off, this would catch it right here, and then you're able to manipulate it. And of course, if you like shield bashing, this is probably right up your alley. It's a pretty long spike. They came in a number of different sizes. Sometimes it's even a blade rather than a round spike. So how's the craftsmanship? For over $500 US, you expect a certain level of quality, of course, and in my opinion, it delivers. If you look at the leather tooling here, it's very clean, nice crisp pattern. The nails here are all evenly spaced, a nice pattern. You've got additional brass domes here, as well as a small brass boss in the center. The threaded piece here fits very well. Then on the back side, I'll try not to impale myself with a spike here, we've got the arm strap, which is flat and also decorated, and the grip, which is round, and either it has a firm core inside or it's just multiple layers of leather rolled up. Either way, this is actually a firm shape. It does not collapse. It gives you more to fill the hand. There's a certain amount of rigidity to it, which is great. That's exactly what you want. Then it's got a padded section for the arm here, which is smart, particularly considering that Highland Warriors didn't wear gambeson or any other kind of padded armor. So it's good to have something here to cushion the blow as opposed to just having the bare wood slammed into your forearm. Everything is very tightly fitted. Like there's no play here. You know, the sheath is also very securely attached. It's got these rings here for a guige strap to wear this on your back, which apparently there isn't any historical evidence for. So this is more of a modern addition for convenience. Now, of course, they might have attached a strap sometimes just because there is no evidence of organic material that isn't preserved very much. Doesn't necessarily mean they didn't do it. And also, there's nothing preventing you from simply running a strap through the back here, you know, through the forearm strap and the grip, and you can sling that across your back or your shoulder. That works just fine. And this way, and with a belt, you wouldn't even have to pull it over your head. You could just release the belt, grab it, and there you go. There's really only one complaint I have, which is this strap here. I wish this was adjustable or just larger. Like, I don't even have particularly huge forearms or anything, and it's not easy for me to fit in this. It seems to have broken in a little bit. I think this strap stretched slightly with use. When it first came, I almost couldn't fit in there. If you have bodybuilder forearms, there's no way. You're not gonna fit into this. You would have to cut the strap and extend it with an extra piece of leather, something like this. So this really needs to be larger. On the other hand, this shield is so pretty, you wouldn't really want to use it, right? I definitely wouldn't want to use it in sparring. I kind of do, but at the same time, it would be a shame. I have used it for a demonstration, so the leather is already a bit scuffed up in places, and the brass, particularly if you were fighting with blunt steel swords, that would of course suffer. It would all get scratched up, and some of the nail heads might be dented, things like that. But yeah, it's, as a collector's piece, it's great. Speaking of collector, if you value historical accuracy, which is likely for this, I found there's an 18th century targe at the Glasgow museums, which looks exactly like this, hence the name, I assume, the Glasgow. So this reproduction seems to be based on that one. It's exactly the same pattern, and it seems extremely close to the original with just some minor differences. Well, one difference is not so minor. The one at the Glasgow museums is larger, actually, which is 65 centimeters or 25.6 inches in diameter. This one here is said is 52 centimeters, 20.5 inches. So this is quite a bit smaller. And also there are some details, like on these brass domes. There are some decorative engravings on the original. I don't want to show you the pictures because they are copyrighted and for non-commercial usage, but I'm going to link it in the video description below so you can look at it and compare. So this seems very, very close to the original. The original is not preserved perfectly, so we can't see exactly how everything was attached in the back, but there are other examples that you can compare to, and this seems quite similar. The straps are differently shaped on different finds, but overall this definitely fits within the range of historical examples. As said, with the exception of these attachment points for a strap or sling to carry on your back, which you don't have to use. So overall, quite impressed by this. Very nice work. It represents the historical originals quite well. You'll see this again in the next video, which I'm planning to upload on Saturday, where I'll talk about the differences between strapped shields and center grip shields, pros and cons. So watch out for that. Keep an eye on the subscriptions tab in particular, because the home feed is just full of whatever shenanigans the almighty algorithm decides you're supposed to watch. And these days, the algorithm seems to be displeased by my channel. Probably because I still hate clickbait. Anyway, so yeah, try to find it. YouTube might not make it easy, even if you're subscribed. Anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you found this interesting, and have a good one, folks.